we need to talk about Pencilish Animation's newest show, Juju Brain. Now, it's July 25th, so it's been about 3 days since the show's first episode was released, which means that Pencilish Animation now has 3 shows in total. We've got Bjorn the Last Unicorn, which shows a lot of potential, especially now that we've seen behind the scenes that animator Aaron Blaze is helping with the animation team for the story, so that's phenomenal. We've got the second show, Mind Over Murphy, which is really great, but definitely needs to be longer. And then we've got our third show, Juju Brain. Now, I could be a fan of this, but there's a few things that need to be fixed if that's to change. Now, a few miscellaneous notes before beginning and things I really liked about this. I really love the colors. I'm not a fan of the character stylization that we saw compared to the options that were presented to us as investors. There were a few more original designs for Juju and the gang that were really innovative, really interesting, but didn't ever come to fruition. So that's unfortunate, but the style that we ended up getting isn't too bad. The backgrounds, however, are really nicely done, both in spatial awareness and the choice of color tones. Now, the show's intro in doing the auto-tune was a little bit too strong. I had a hard time making out what Juju was saying, and the same kind of thing applies for Chris's first lines as well. So the biggest issue with this series so far. 1, the lack of story. We didn't really learn anything about the family, who Juju was, where we're going from here, and there really was no pre-established context. It honestly left me feeling unattached to the characters and wasn't even enough to feel like a slice of life series. This definitely needs to be fixed, or I'm honestly gonna have no interest at all in where this is going. In Bjorn the Last Unicorn, at least we knew where we were going from the end of episode 1. We saw the first episode finished off. It seemed like there's sort of chronological timeline where it's gonna be an episodic sort of order, where one episode follows right off from the end of the last one. We saw that Bjorn the Last Unicorn is now moving with Becca and the crew to domestic life to become the world's #1 top influencer, but in Mind Over Murphy, we sort of fell into the same pitfall that Juju Brain is having right now. So the second biggest issue is that it felt like there was an overemphasis on gender identification. Now, this is kind of a common theme that we're seeing across 2D television right now. There's so many great examples of shows using representation of LGBTQ+, such as Steven Universe, Adventure Time, Owl House, She-Ra, Clarence, The Loud House, Harley Quinn animated television series, Star vs. the Forces of Evil, and obviously more. And they do a really great job at other things such as what we're talking about right now, gender identification. However, Juju Brain felt like this was supposed to be a story rather than representation that simply exists and is normalized. Instead of being left and saying, yes, this exists and we don't need to point it out because we support it and it should be natural, it sticks out like a sore thumb and takes up the whole plot of the episode, leaving it feeling like a PSA announcement. Now, Steven Universe seasons 1 through 4 did a really great job as having characters and themes exist without calling them to attention. However, that did change later on, but I think that level of representation should be the ideal, be the goal, if in fact that is the aim of a series or this series in general. Now, lastly, this is a common problem that's showing up far too often, and it's just that it's too short. Juju Brain's first episode is 5 minutes and 53 seconds long, and only 4 minutes and 32 seconds of that runtime is the actual episode. 121 seconds were simply the intro and credits. Now, I think that after 3 episodes of 3 different series, the 3 to 5 minute short format simply can't work. And especially when you've got less than 5 minutes of content every 3 months, that adds up to about 20 minutes worth of content perhaps every year for a TV series. And that's simply not sustainable, and I really think this needs to be sort of looked over and rethought through, even if it means that us as viewers will have to wait a longer timetable between seeing episodes being released. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you next time when we're talking about Pencilish Animation.